Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
And any other things else. I hope you all are having a wonderful week otherwise. There's really, it's one of those days today where you just feel like there's not a lot on your plate. It's one of those days where you just don't want to eat a lot. So it's just like, hey, not a lot of sports really to dive into today. It's just going to be a lot of long topics. We'll see how it goes here. All right, let's start. The Suns may not be out today, like in the Baltimore, Maryland area, but the Suns are definitely shining down in Phoenix. First time since 1993, they're going to the NBA Finals, where they lost to Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Phil Jackson's Chicago Bulls in 6 games. That was when they had Charles Barkley. So, what am I supposed to say about the Phoenix Suns today? A round of applause because they haven't been in the NBA playoffs in 10 years. Then they get Chris Paul, and all of a sudden, it's like magic overnight. Wherever he goes, he changes the culture. They're number 2 seed in the West. Yeah, you could say about the Lakers being injured, and the Nuggets being injured, and the Clippers being injured. But didn't we say this about the 2015 Golden State Warriors too? When Golden State when they were playing teams that had everyone hurt? Isn't this the same path that the Phoenix Suns are going on? Where they want to discredit Phoenix all because there's injuries, just like they did with Steph Curry's Klay Thompson, Draymond Green Warriors. And they're like, that's fine, we'll keep disrespecting us. But they're probably going to be the last one standing. And with Chris Paul being the heart, fear, and soul of the Phoenix Suns. It just goes to show how hard it is to win in this league. And Chris Paul's already a first ballot Hall of Famer. And if the Suns win the title, it is a for sure first ballot Hall of Fame lock. It will depend if he wins Finals MVP or not. That I'm very curious to see if the Suns are to beat the Atlanta Hawks and the Milwaukee Bucks. And they're going to have a nice rest because I'm not expecting the NBA Finals to begin until next Thursday. That's what I'm expecting. So, give them a round of applause. He's made guys like Devin Booker better, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges. You get the drill. He's made so many players better. 130-103 win for the Phoenix Suns Los Angeles Clippers Game 6. I'm telling you this. They did not want a part of a Game 7. Because they would have been extra uber tight. Because you know how the Los Angeles Clippers like to play with house money. And speaking of the Los Angeles Clippers, how dirty was it that Patrick Beverley shoved Chris Paul in the back right after that game during the timeout? Chris Paul didn't say anything to him. Remember how dirty Patrick Beverley is. He should have got called for a flagrant foul on DeAndre Ayton last night. And never forget, he tore Russell Westbrook's ACL during the 2013 playoffs when Oklahoma City was trying to call a timeout. Patrick Beverley comes up and injures his knee. Dude is a complete dirty player. He is a complete and utter complete buffoon. I mean, Patrick Beverley's got no use to being in the NBA. Let's be real with this. Patrick Beverley stinks from the S to the K. That's what Patrick Beverley is. Patrick Beverley has no business being on an NBA roster. But here we are. This is what we got. Chris Paul, 41 points. 66.7% shooting from the field. 4 rebounds, 8 assists, and 3 steals. It's his first NBA Finals appearance in 16 years. Steph Curry, the Golden State Warriors, congratulated him. Devin Booker, 22 points, 30.5% shooting from the field, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, and 1 steal. Jay Crowder, 19 points, 54.5% shooting from the field, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Los Angeles Clippers stats. Marcus Morris, 26 points, 52.9% shooting from the field, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 to 2 blocks. Paul George, now you got to give it up to him. There's no Kawhi Leonard. He was dealt with tons of criticism. He actually lived off the playoff P. This was like when he was with the Indiana Pacers, fell a couple of games short of the NBA Finals. When he was with Frank Vogel, Roy Hibbert, and all these guys. So yeah, 21 points, 40% shooting from the field, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists. Reggie Jackson, 13 points, 33.3% shooting from the field, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals. Now he's crying at his post-game press conference. He knows he's probably going to get paid. And there are rumblings going around this morning. Kawhi Leonard, maybe the Dallas Mavericks, Miami Heat. That's going to be an interesting storyline as the offseason approaches for the Los Angeles Clippers. Now let's get to the next one here. The Milwaukee Bucks, the Atlanta Hawks Game 4 recap. So the Suns won that series 4-2 against Los Angeles Clippers. Now with the Hawks and the Bucks, series tied at 2. Trae Young does not play in Game 4. Giannis Antetokounmpo hyperextends his knee. No structural damage, and it could have been seriously a lot worse. There is someone that made a very interesting post about Giannis Antetokounmpo, the heart, and soul of the Milwaukee Bucks, and here's what they said about him. They believe what he does in the offseason is the reason why his knee damage was not worse than it was. What they mean by that is that he takes care of his body very well. The fact that he's listed as doubtful for tonight shows you how strong and how much what he puts in his body matters. And yeah, he is only in the prime of his career. Here's what I think is going to play out. I do not think Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to play Game 5. And I'm not sure Trae Young's either. If the Milwaukee Bucks win Game 5 without Giannis, then they'll sit him for Game 6. If Giannis doesn't play tonight, and if the Bucks are facing elimination in Game 6, then you will see Giannis Antetokounmpo dress up. That's how I see this playing out. No, he's not missing this series. The only way he's not playing in this series is one of two reasons. Number one, the Bucks win the next 2 games and make him rest as much as possible before a potential NBA Finals matchup with the Phoenix Suns. Or number 2, the knee is a lot worse than we anticipated it is. So those are the 2 instances that we do not see Giannis Antetokounmpo dressing up for the Milwaukee Bucks. These NBA playoffs may have a bigger asterisk than they did last year in the bubble when no one actually got hurt despite having no fans. There is a big list of injuries, and I'm not a big fan of LeBron James in certain aspects. But where he was right was in the fact about the whole injuries. Come on, these 347 numbers. Unless you're trying to prank call my show, then there's no need to call me on my show. As I was saying about LeBron James, the fact is that LeBron James was right about these NBA player injuries, star players to begin with. Donovan Mitchell, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, LeBron James himself, and the list goes on and on. Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, James Harden. Don't tell me that LeBron James wasn't right in the first place. The NBA wanted to start on Christmas Day so they could make their big-time bucks and TV revenue and stuff like that. Want to know what Adam Silver is? He's like Mr. Krabs. Eugene Krabs. Stingy and greedy as he possibly can be. Speaking of summertime, let me give you a perfect replica of what Adam Silver did. So Adam Silver used the players to make his quick buck and quick money, and now look what happened. The players are hurt. During the summertime, in one episode, Mr. Krabs decides to build a playground for the children. And wants to collect all of their money. He builds the cheapest circus or amusement park ever. That's what the NBA season has become. A cheap circus and playground because you're getting these non-stars playing big minutes in playoff games, which I don't think Adam Silver wants. But Adam Silver, at the end of the day, will be happy because he got his money, just like Mr. Eugene Krabs did with his big bucks. But you want to know what happened at the end of that episode? When Mr. Krabs becomes a clown, which Adam Silver is, and then when Mr. Krabs becomes a cheap clown, then he goes into his office, is like, you did it again, Krabs, you did it again, says it to himself. And then one of his employees, SpongeBob SquarePants, is like, how could you do this to the children? Well, I'm sure someone in Adam Silver's office is like, how could you do this to the NBA fan base with all your players getting hurt? So you know what happens when Mr. Krabs goes to the bank and cashes out his money? The kids literally beat up Mr. Krabs. And I'm sure deep down, there are people, fans of the NBA, because they don't see their stars, they want to take Adam Silver's monies back, and they want to, just like heckle him about it on and other stuff. So I think that's a very good comparison here, what I just did. I don't know how I pulled it off a script, but I somehow did. So that's what this NBA season has really come down to. So, that would actually be funny if that episode was on today. But most importantly, the game 4 was a blowout. 110-88. And honestly, I thought the Bucks were taking this game very lightly to begin with. And they should be ashamed of themselves that they did this as well before Giannis was hurt. So, Nick Wright was right about one thing in regards to that the Bucks, the Hawks, and Trae Young felt extremely bad for Giannis Antetokounmpo. But when they were on the court, they smelt blood. So now what are the statistics from this game? Lou Williams stepped up big time for the Atlanta Hawks. 21 points. For the Atlanta Hawks, he shot 77.8% from the field. Williams also grabbed 5 rebounds, recorded 8 assists, and recorded 1 steal. Bogdan Bogdanovic also scored 20 points for Atlanta. He shot 36.8% from the field. Bogdan Bogdanovic. What else did he also do? Also grabbed 3 rebounds, recorded 5 assists, and recorded 4 steals. Clint Capella and Kevin Huerter each scored 15 points for the Hawks. Oh, jeez. Huerter also shot 46.7% from the field. He also grabbed 6 rebounds, recorded 7 assists, and recorded 1 steal. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I have never said it was okay for you to call me live during my show. I never had any of those segments yet. Not during these 181 shows. And no, it's not going to change after the 181st show. I'll let you know if I'll ever change my mind if you all could call me on my show or not. But no, it's not going to happen. All right, Drew Holiday for the Bucks, 19 points, 35.3% shooting from the field. Holiday also grabbed 5 rebounds, recorded 9 assists. Chris Middleton scored 16 points for Milwaukee. He shot 35.3% from the field. Middleton also grabbed 8 rebounds, recorded 5 assists, and recorded 2 steals. Giannis Antetokounmpo scored 14 points. For the Bucks, he shot 70% from the field. Antetokounmpo also grabbed 8 rebounds, recorded 3 assists, and blocked 1 shot. As I mentioned about the NBA season having an asterisk here as well, I already discussed that. Now let me get into the National Hockey League. Game 2 recap between the Montreal Canadiens and Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay Lightning win Game 2 3-1. Lead this series 2 games to the Montreal Canadiens. As I'm watching this series, I'm just like, this is not inspiring. And I know Montreal kind of outplayed Tampa and Andrei Vasilevsky stole the show. Can we be real about something? I know it's going back to Montreal for Game 3, and I know what they say. Tampa Bay Lightning did what they were supposed to. But here's the eye test of this series. I do not see Montreal winning more than 2 games in this series max. I should be coming back on my show. I won't be live on Monday because of the 4th of July weekend. But I better be coming back on this show next Thursday talking about how the Tampa Bay Lightning are the defending Stanley Cup champions back-to-back. Because if I don't be talking about that, I know there's a major problem. And I'm not trying to discredit the fact how Montreal Canadiens got here because they deserve to. But can we just talk about the fact how much better Tampa Bay Lightning are compared to Montreal Canadiens? And it's simply not even close? Can I tell you also something? The fact that the New York Islanders took them to 7 games is really how good of a hockey team that team actually is. In my opinion, I don't care if the Montreal Canadiens are going to technically be the second place team, which I think they should lose this series to Tampa Bay Lightning, because they most likely are. They're not even the second best team in the league when I probably come out with my final power rankings. The New York Islanders, we could say right now that the New York Islanders Tampa Bay Lightning series was actually the Stanley Cup final. The Islanders, yeah, and I know my brother Jacob was busting me about how the Islanders are going to find as much of Canadians, but that's the way how the bracket played out. The New York Islanders have nothing to be ashamed of themselves. They're neither their fan base. The Islanders fan base like, we would have done this to Montreal, and rightfully so they would have. There's no doubt in my mind they would have done this to the Montreal Canadiens as well. But let's give the credit where credit's due Tampa Bay Lightning. And I did see some signs yesterday where they were missing Alex Killorn in that game. But in all honesty, it all matters. It doesn't matter because this team's too locked and too loaded. And want to know what's absolutely scary? That assuming if the Tampa Bay Lightning win this series and win this back-to-back Stanley Cups, is that they have a great chance, to three-peat next year. That's where I'm going with this. The Montreal Canadiens, nothing to be ashamed of. It's unfortunate that the Canadian government, the Quebec government and province, couldn't get them over 3,500 in the stands, but they're allowing 30,000 outside, which doesn't make any sense. Someone said, did he get hit with a hockey puck or something? But let me tell you honestly, the Montreal Canadiens honestly don't stand a chance. This is not like in 2017 where the Pittsburgh Penguins, they won the first two games, but you knew the series wasn't over because I thought Nashville was pretty good. The Predators. I was right, Nashville won the next two games. Pittsburgh kills in game 5, but they had to earn in that game 6 to go back-to-back after defeating the San Jose Sharks the previous year in the Stanley Cup Finals in 6 games. Well, I'm going to tell you this. Whenever the Tampa Bay Lightning win it all, Mike Sullivan, John Cooper are going to have those talks about what it was like to go back-to-back. And then the Penguins couldn't do it 3 in a row when they got eliminated in the second round the next year to Washington Capitals in 6 games against Barry Trotz's squad. So did the Lightning play that game again next year against the New York Islanders only because, the Islanders were the last team to do like some sort of 3 or 4-peat, and it is very hard to do. So let's get into the goals scored in this whole Montreal Canadiens Tampa Bay Lightning game. No goals scored in the first period. What happened in the second period? Let's go with Anthony Cirelli at the 6:40 mark. Assisted by Tyler Johnson and John Rada. Montreal Canadiens, Nick Suzuki, 10:36 mark, power play goal assisted by unassisted. Tampa Bay Lightning, Blake Coleman with 1.1 seconds remaining. So 1.2 seconds remaining second period. I thought it was 0.3 until I saw the box score this morning where it was 1.1 and with 1.1 seconds remaining was Blake Coleman at the 1958 mark and a diamond goal assisted by Barclay Goodrow and Ryan McDonough. And it was the Miami of Ohio he did in 2015 and he did it last year in the 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs in Game 2 in the second round against the Boston Bruins. So that third period goes Andre Palat, 15:42 mark, assisted by unassisted, off a turnover. Speaking of the NHL, I want to get into Gary Bettman's State of the Union address here and discuss what he discussed before Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals on Monday. I watched it on the NHL Network. So NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman talked to the media on Monday afternoon right before Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Montreal Canadiens, Tampa Bay Lightning here as well. He was getting blasted by the media about the Olympics in Tokyo for next season, the Chicago Blackhawks sexual assault scandal, and the NHL referees. Gary Bettman backed up his officials, and he called them the best in the business. He truly believes that the players need to dictate the game. He's correct about that. And also about the Chicago Blackhawks sexual assault scandal. This is an internal investigation by Chicago Blackhawks. He said this is always concerning. As I mentioned, he was getting blasted by the media. And I'm not going to go too deep onto it, because that's all the information I am going to give on this topic. And whatever's released by the media or whatever else, we will see later on. So, what do I think about the referees? He's right to a certain degree, simply because he lets the players do the dictating, which is correct. However, there is a time and a place where you need to call it no matter what. He's right to a point where physicality steps, turns up a notch, where he also, how would I put it, where coaches make adjustments in series, that goes into consideration. It's right where you're not going from one city one night to another city next night. You're playing the same team potentially 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a row. So he's got a point on that. And it happened a couple of times during the regular season where some teams would play each other 2, 3, or 4 times in a row. So, here as well. So next year, they're going to start the season in October, sometime between the 10th and the 15th. The Seattle Kraken will become the 32nd team officially in the NHL next season. The expansion draft will be aired live on ESPN2 on Wednesday, July 21st. This should be in for a very interesting night. Also, the Carolina Hurricanes will be getting an outdoor game in the immediate future at North Carolina State Football Stadium, because it's literally right next door to PNC Arena, where it is home to the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Where college basketball games are played at PNC Arena, and then right across next door, I did not actually realize it, which is the North Carolina State Football Stadium. So that will be fun. So it'll just be playing next door. So, what outdoor games are we getting next year? So the Winter Classic on January 1st, 2022 will be played at Target Field, Minneapolis, Minnesota, between the St. Louis Blues and the Minnesota Wild. On February 26, 2022, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Nashville Predators will play a game outdoors in the Stadium Series at Nissan Stadium, Nashville, Tennessee. And you better believe that Taylor Lewan is going to be getting his beer ready. All right? There will also be an outdoor game for the Heritage Classic in Canada next March of 2022. Now I listed 5 potential places and matchups we need outdoors. Number 1, let's get the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Columbus Blue Jackets at Buckeye Stadium in Columbus, Ohio. First of all, you had the Toronto Maple Leafs and Detroit Red Wings win a Classic a few years ago back in 2014 on a snowy day, where it was played at Ann Arbor, Michigan Stadium. If you can get a game at Michigan, you can get a game at Ohio State. Ohio State hosts the most fans in college football. You better. The NHL must get a game in Columbus. That has to be a must. I'm sorry. Number 2, let's turn back the clocks. Detroit Red Wings versus Colorado Avalanche at Mile High Authority Field in Denver, Colorado, where the Denver Broncos play. Want to talk about a notorious hatred and rivalry between two teams back in the 1990s? Get Detroit and Colorado. You have to do it. Yeah, Nathan McKinnon's probably going to be there for his entire career. But you bet the second the Detroit Red Wings get good again, the NHL better be stamping right all over this. Because it's a complete shame that the Detroit Red Wings are not good. Number 3, let's get the New York Rangers versus the New Jersey Devils at MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey. First of all, the Rangers have never played the Devils outdoors. That's another rivalry that needs to be outdoors. You had the Washington Capitals, Pittsburgh Penguins outdoors. Yeah, well, you had that outdoors. You had the Pittsburgh Penguins going with the Philadelphia Flyers. You better get the New York Rangers, New Jersey Devils outdoors. The Battle of the Hudson. That is an absolute must. And no, not Yankee Stadium. MetLife Stadium, where there is a lot more capacity. A football stadium where it could 100,000 people. Get Rangers fans and Devils fans. No, I'm sorry, not the New York Islanders, as much as I like them a lot. You better get the Battle of Hudson. That's the one you need for the Winter Classic. Or at least outdoors. That's another game that the NHL needs to step upon. All right, let's go to the next one. Number 4. Now, this one has never happened. The I-95 rivalry. Washington Capitals, Philadelphia Flyers. At Lincoln Financial Field, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's another one that needs to happen. Those two have never played each other outdoors. They played outdoor games, but not against each other. Now let's get to number 5. Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Boston Bruins at Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. Now I know I did the Winter Classic a while ago where Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins at Gillette Stadium, Foxborough, Massachusetts. So that one makes sense. I guess you could put it at Gillette. But I feel like Fenway for this rivalry kind of like makes more sense in a way. I don't know. Gillette Stadium is kind of like far from Boston. But hey, it's not far from Providence. The AHL affiliate of the Boston Bruins was looking up the other day. It's only a 28 to 30 minute drive, which I was actually rather surprised about. So that's where I think there needs to be outdoor games. Not at Gillette Stadium, Foxborough, Massachusetts, but we better see it in Boston, Massachusetts at Fenway Park. But before I get into my next segments over here, get up to a $1,000 bonus with your first deposit. MyBookie.ag, promo 12-ounce sports, 12-ounce sports quenches sports thirst. We are live on Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner, 12-ounce sports quenches sports thirst, 12-ounce sports quenches sports thirst. This is a fast and tremendous show today, as I always do on every show. Thank you, Cody Jensen, JD Beck, Lou Gamlin, Philly Pete. You don't want to go anywhere after my show's over. He will be discussing all things betting. He's awesome, so you don't want to miss anything on that. Michael Crazy Cavallis, an announcement on starting July 23rd at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That is a Friday. I will be having my new show, but my show's not going anywhere. This is my new show on Fridays with Michael Cavallis called Mike and Glenn Sports War. It's going to be fun. If you enjoy me during the week, and if you want to see me roasting Michael Cavallis all the time on that show, then you simply do not want to miss it. I'm just letting you know. He is going to lose every battle that I have with him. I'm just letting you know that. He stands no chance against me every single time. He better be chalking up L's every time I be discussing things with him. He stands no chance against my debates. And also Tyler Valdez and everybody else who does things. As I always say on every show, give us a follow on our Facebook page, Instagram page, and Twitter page. We always grow with viewers, followers, and listeners, as I say on every show. I always speak on the Facebook, but when I share before every show, it's like, slowly climbing. That's how far we come along. Keep it up, fellas. Now let's get into Golden State Warriors and Toronto Raptors mock trade for Pascal Siakam. So, what do I say? Now, I saw this on Colin Cowherd's show the other day, that the Golden State Warriors are looking to go win now. Toronto is going into a complete rebuild situation. Excuse me. The Toronto Raptors. I know Pascal Siakam's making, it's a 4-year, $30 million. It's a $30 million a year. And I know they just won the championship 2 years ago against the Golden State Warriors. But the Toronto Raptors are looking to rebuild under head coach Nick Nurse and president of basketball operations Masai Ujiri. So, in a rebuild situation, Golden State Warriors had 2 draft picks. They had the 7th pick and the 14th pick. Toronto already has the 4th pick. They're going to be getting a good player at 4th. So, Toronto, the trade potentially would be James Wiseman and the 7th pick. Maybe you could add Andrew Wiggins, to the trade for Pascal Siakam, and why it makes sense. Number 1, Andrew Wiggins gets to go home. First, he's originally from Canada. I think he's actually from the Toronto, Ontario area. So Andrew Wiggins would get to go home and play for his country, which I don't think he would actually turn down at all. I don't think he would be in the long-term plans of the Golden State Warriors anyways. Number 2, they don't have the time for James Wiseman to develop. He's only, 19, 20, no more than 21, 22 years old. So, Wiseman's going to develop. He would develop nicely at center. You got Malachi Flynn, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby. So those are some of the players that they are going to have to build around. And whoever you draft with the 4th or 7th pick will be nice. I don't know. Keep an eye on Fred VanVleet. I don't think they're going to trade him. I think he's in their long-term plans. I think they kind of want to do a rebuild for this year, next year, and then kind of revamp things right afterwards. Well, they say that championship in 2019 was worth it. Because that championship in 2019 was all worth it when they traded Kawhi Leonard for DeMar DeRozan with the San Antonio Spurs. So here's the potential starting 5 next year for the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry at point guard, Klay Thompson at shooting guard, maybe Jordan Poole at the small forward, Draymond Green at power forward, and Pascal Siakam at center, which is actually a very, very nice starting lineup for head coach Steve Kerr's squad and everything else. So get up to a $1,000 bonus with your first deposit. MyBookie.ag. Promo 12-Ounce Sports. 12-Ounce Sports quenches sports thirst. We are live on Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. 12-Ounce Sports quenches sports thirst. 12-Ounce Sports quenches sports thirst. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before I get into commercial break, I'm just going to say one thing to you guys before I do. I was the other day, because of all these rumors that were going around with Damian Lillard, I did a mock trade for all 29 teams in the NBA for Damian Lillard. So right after commercial break, I am going to announce every single mock trade that I proposed for Damian Lillard for each and every NBA team. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all enjoy it. But before I get into it, sorry, I have to do it like soap operas or everything else. I'm going to commercial break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all are ready now for these final minutes of this show today, about a little bit less than 19 minutes to go. Let's go! Mock trade season for Damian Lillard. Every single NBA team. Let's start with the Atlanta Hawks. They get Damian Lillard. The Portland Trailblazers get DeAndre Hunter, Onyeka Okongwu, Brian Gerwin, and Bruno Fernando, and potentially draft picks. Now, I know it didn't accept the trade on the NBA trade machine, but the Lou Williams money will come off the books. He's got 1 year left, no trade clause, be a free agent. So that's how that trade would work. Let's now, a very interesting team here. Let's go to the Boston Celtics. Damian Lillard, that's who Boston gets. The Portland Trailblazers get Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and draft picks. Now, I know Brad Stevens, the head coach of the Boston Celtics, has connections with Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart emotionally. But now he's in the front office and in the business aspect of things. Does that mean he's not going to be as emotionally attached to these players as he used to be? He knows this is probably Jason Tatum's team. But you got a guy like another scorer like Damian Lillard. That's an upgrade at the point guard position. Because that is something they have not gotten right. Unless you keep Jaylen Brown and sign Lonzo Ball in free agency. Which would be interesting. Next up, the Brooklyn Nets. They get Damian Lillard. Portland Trailblazers get Kyrie Irving and Landry Shamet. Lillard would actually be a better fit on the Brooklyn Nets than Kyrie Irving would be. I know Kyrie Irving, there are potential talks they might trade him this offseason. A potential great trade for potentially Kyrie Irving would actually be, I don't think they would do this because it's within the division, but a Kyrie Irving for Ben Simmons swap. Now think about this for a minute. Ben Simmons doesn't need to shoot on the Sixers. Not the Sixers, the Nets. That's Durant's and Harden's territory. That's number one. Number two, the Nets need defensive players. What does Simmons provide? Defense. So Ben Simmons would be your defensive anchor. That would not be your problem. Simmons could live in the paint because the Nets really don't have anyone in the paint to begin with. So what's next? Now let's get to the Chicago Bulls. That is the next team that I have. No, Charlotte Hornets, excuse me. Charlotte Hornets get Damian Lillard. Portland Trailblazers get Terry Rozier, PJ Washington, Miles Bridges. Now, I don't think the Charlotte Hornets would give up those assets because I think they're trying to build for the future, build around like LaMelo Ball. Chicago Bulls trade. That actually did not work out for me really well. Cleveland Cavaliers. They get Damian Lillard. Portland Trailblazers get Taurean Prince, Colin Sexton, Dylan Windler, Damian Dotson, Cedi Osman, and draft picks. So I think that is actually not a terrible return for Damian Lillard, but Cleveland's more in a rebuild mode. But they're also a team that kind of wants to revamp the rebuilding process. Detroit Pistons get Damian Lillard. Portland Trailblazers get Jeremy Grant, Corey Joseph, and Josh Jackson. That's a terrible trade. So that is one they would probably not get. Plus, they're probably going to draft Cade Cunningham, number 1 overall. Anyways, the point guard, shooting guard from Oklahoma State. And they're probably not going to take any calls on that number 1 pick. Indiana Pacers. Now, this is an interesting trade. Damian Lillard and Jusuf Nurkic and the Portland Trailblazers get Miles Turner, TJ Warren, Jeremy Lamb, and Edmund Sumner. Now, that is a trade that actually makes Indiana better. Number 1, you don't get rid of Domantas Sabonis. You don't get rid of Malcolm Brogdon. And you do not get rid of Karis LeVert. Miles Turner's been the guy that's been rumored to be traded. Jusuf Nurkic, that core, I know they're probably going to move off him. So Miles Turner makes sense. Edmund Sumner's a point guard. His game could really improve because when the Pacers had a lot of injuries, because I know this from NBA DFS. He played a lot of small forward, shooting guard, power forward, and point guard. So Sumner could provide some versatility to the Portland Trail Blazers. So that would be a very interesting trade. Miami Heat. Now this is one that could potentially perk your ears on. Damian Lillard, 4, and the Portland Trail Blazers get Victor Oladipo, Tyler Herro, Precious Achiuwa, and Duncan Robinson. Now the odds are you may have to give up Bam Adebayo instead of Precious Achiuwa, but that might be a good trade for both sides. And the Miami Heat usually draft particularly well and develop players well. So I do not think it would particularly be the end of the world. And Kendrick Nunn's maybe a guy you throw in there too. But he was a guy in the NBA trade machine that I couldn't trade, so I had to throw in Duncan Robinson and Tyler Herro. So next trade, Milwaukee Bucks get Damian Lillard. The Portland Trail Blazers get Drew Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, and Pat Connaughton. The New York Knicks. Now I know their fan base is completely up in arms about potentially trading for him. The New York Knicks get Damian Lillard, and the New York Knicks would trade away to the Portland Trail Blazers Obi Toppin, Kevin Knox II, Emmanuel Quickley, Theo Pinson, and potentially cap space comes off. Maybe draft picks as well. The Orlando Magic get Damian Lillard. Portland Trail Blazers get Gary Harris, Markelle Fultz, and draft picks. Because the Magic got the 5th and the 8th pick. Maybe you give up one of those picks for him. Philadelphia 76ers get Damian Lillard. Portland Trail Blazers get Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, Tyrese Maxey, and draft picks. Toronto Raptors get Damian Lillard. Portland Trail Blazers get Pascal Siakam and OJ Anunoby. Actually, you get some size in there for the Portland Trail Blazers and actually improve on the defensive end of the floor. The Washington Wizards get, now this is a very weird trade, but it works for the cap. I don't think that, first of all, the Washington Wizards would not accept this the Portland Trail Blazers, would not accept this trade, what I'm about to mock here, but it fits in the cap. Washington Wizards get Damian Lillard, Jusuf Nurkic, and Norman Powell. The Portland Trail Blazers get Russell Westbrook, Thomas Bryant, Chandler Hutchinson, and draft picks. Nurkic at center improves them. Norman Powell gets him a wing defender. Damian Lillard, a backcourt of Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal would be very, very intriguing to watch in the nation's capital. That would be scary. Bradley Beal seems like he's satisfied staying with the Washington Wizards, but that's okay. And Damian Lillard, we'll see. Dallas Mavericks get Damian Lillard. Portland Trail Blazers get Kristaps Porzingis, a 1-for-1 swap. Could you imagine a co-pairing of Damian Lillard and Luka Doncic? It would absolutely be frightening and terrifying. The Mavericks were the 5th seed in the West with Doncic and a bunch of no-names. Doncic and Lillard, maybe a potential 2 seed in the Western Conference because of how dominant those two players are. That is one scary, frightening scene with those two players. Now here's a swap that would be very interesting and potentially puts the Denver Nuggets over the top. Damian Lillard for Jamal Murray. That is, and I like Jamal Murray, and I think that if Jamal Murray was healthy, not the Portland Trail Blazers, the Denver Nuggets could have very well won the NBA title. But in this instance, Nikola Jokic is really good. Michael Porter Jr. is really good. And Damian Lillard's never hurt. You have to wonder now about Jamal Murray's injury history. Damian Lillard, Nikola Jokic, and Michael Porter Jr. as a big three would be frightening and terrifying. And potentially an NBA winner championship title. I'm not going to go as far as dynasty, but that would be something. Golden State Warriors get Damian Lillard. Portland Trailblazers get Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, and draft picks. It would have to be both the 7th and the 14th. Houston Rockets, no trade done. Los Angeles Clippers, Yusuf Nurkic and Damian Lillard. Portland Trailblazers get Kawhi Leonard and Serge Ibaka. Now Lillard, Paul George would be a nice backcourt, but that would also mean you're also getting rid of Reggie Jackson, who is going to get, as I mentioned earlier on this show, is going to be getting paid big time bucks this offseason. So a trade with the Los Angeles Clippers, now that they're moving on into the offseason after losing to the Phoenix Suns in 6 games and the Western Conference Finals, that was their first Western Conference Finals appearance in franchise history. And I know they didn't win the NBA title, but I'm sure owner Steve Ballmer likes the direction they're heading in, and they definitely hired the right head coach in Tyronn Lue, and there are lots of questions about that. So the Los Angeles Lakers get Damian Lillard and LeBron James' boy, Carmelo Anthony, for Dennis Schroeder, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Montrezl Harrell, and Kyle Kuzma. And I know LeBron James has not been a big fan of Kyle Kuzma, so LeBron James gets his buddy Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony will be happy to maybe potentially be a ring chaser, and he's never won an NBA title in his illustrious NBA career. He is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer most likely, so there's that. Memphis Grizzlies, Damian Lillard goes to them. Portland Trailblazers get Dillon Brooks, DeAnthony Melton, Grayson Allen, Desmond Bane, and Jonathan Porter. Minnesota Timberwolves get Damian Lillard. Portland Trailblazers get D'Angelo Russell 1-for-1 swap. Would be interesting, because I've heard rumors about Karl Anthony Towns wanting to play with Damian Lillard, so him, Anthony Edwards would be a nice start, but there's still a lot of things that roster needs to fix, and they do not have a draft pick in the top of the order in the first round this year because the ping pong balls did not fall their way, and it went to the Golden State Warriors because of the D'Angelo Russell trade. So we'll see how that would work out for D'Angelo Russell. The New Orleans Pelicans get Damian Lillard. Portland Trailblazers get Lonzo Ball and Eric Bledsoe. So, Damian Lillard, Zion Williamson, and Brandon Ingram, a big three, very interesting. But would the health of the New Orleans Pelicans bring them down? Now, you got a great rim protector in Jackson Hayes, and you would also have to find a shooting guard, but that would be another interesting one. Oklahoma City Thunder, Damian Lillard. That's who they would get. Portland Trailblazers get Kemba Walker and multiple first-round picks because they have a lot of draft. General manager Sam Presti has a lot of first-round picks to play with. So, I like that a lot. Phoenix, even though the Oklahoma City Thunder are rebuilding, the Phoenix Suns get Damian Lillard. Portland Trailblazers get Jake Crowder, Darius Saric, Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Javon Carter, Cameron Payne. They probably wouldn't do that now that they're going to the NBA Finals. I don't think they want to mess anything up. And yeah, I know Chris Paul, this is probably going to be his one and only chance potentially to win the whole thing. They want to make sure he doesn't take this thing for granted. So we'll see how the NBA Finals potentially plays out. Sacramento Kings get Damian Lillard, Enes Kanter, TJ Leaf, Harry Giles III, and CJ Ellerby. The Portland Trailblazers get Buddy Hield, DeLon Wright, Marvin Bagley III, Rashawn Holmes, and Maurice Harkless. I don't think that's a trade that would work out on either side. But Bagley would get out of Sacramento, which is his wish. San Antonio Spurs get Damian Lillard. Portland Trailblazers get Patty Mills, Trey Lyles, Devin Vassell, Lonnie Walker IV. Now a last 1-for-1 swap for today. Utah Jazz acquire Damian Lillard. Portland Trailblazers get Mike Conley Jr. So, I would like that swap because you would get help for Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Joe Ingles. They were the number 1 seed in the West last year. That may potentially be the thing that puts them over the top. Remember, Rudy Gobert's not a number 2. Damian Lillard and Donovan Mitchell will be a great 1-2 punch. Rudy Gobert's now your number 3, which would be a great sign for the Utah Jazz. That's what I think, in my personal opinion. So I'm going to go one over. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you watch this show or watch it later on replay or whatever else, tag me. Shout out to me on my Instagram at GlennKaplan_13 and tell me which Damian Lillard mock trade you like the most and which one you think that I'm a crazy and complete buffoon about. Last one for today is I'm going to give you quickly 5 athletes. Now that college football, today is the first day college athletes could get paid. So I'm going to give you 5 quick college football athletes that would have gotten a big payday, in my opinion. Number 5, Andrew Luck of Stanford. Number 4, Johnny Manziel, Texas A&M. And I honestly forgot about him until I was reading some tweet last night. Number 3, Reggie Bush of USC. Number 2, in my opinion, would have been Wow, I can't even read my own handwriting on that. Oh, Vince Young. Vince Young would have been number 2. And number 1, Tim Tebow. That's where I'm going to leave it at. Ladies and gentlemen. But let me read it to you again. Number 5, Andrew Luck. Number 4, Johnny Manziel. Number 3, Reggie Bush. Number 2, Vince Young. And number 1, Tim Tebow. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of time here. Thanks for tuning in, Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you all have a wonderful 4th of July weekend and stay safe and don't do anything crazy with fireworks or alcohol. I'm not going to be live on Monday because of the 4th of July weekend, with the Monday being after the 4th of July being the 5th of July. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back on the air the next time at the same time next Thursday. A potential NBA Finals preview. I hope I'm talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning winning the Stanley Cup over the Montreal Canadiens. More MLB and NFL news. And get up to $1,000 bonus with your first deposit. MyBookie.ag. Promo 12 Sports, Quenches Sports Thirst. 12 Sports, Quenches Sports Thirst. We were live on Glenn's Dynamic Sports, going 12 Sports, Quenches Sports Thirst. 12 Sports, Quenches Sports Thirst. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.